How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. It's over. We had a huge selling event yesterday, which has been pretty insane, actually. I just realized that what was sold yesterday was the same amount that was sold back in the Luna collapse within a few hundred Bitcoin, which is just kind of uncanny. I want to show you the difference between what happened when Luna collapsed and what's happening now. And I'll go through what's happening behind the scenes as well with the ETH ETFs, with the Bitcoin ETFs as well, with what we should expect this week. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. Also, if you do want to trade crypto, there are links underneath the video. You can check out the link to BYDeFi. You can start trading in just a few minutes there. You don't need a KYC. You don't need a VPN. And we've been able to make life-changing gains this bull run from trading with leverage. You can start doing that as well. I have some videos that I'll put on the end screen explaining how to do this or how I do this. It's not as complicated as a lot of people make it out to be. Also, there is a link underneath the video to my Telegram as well. In case you're someone that likes to trade a lot, join there because we're setting up a group where you can get one-on-one support with someone at BYDeFi. So if you have any questions or concerns or suggestions or anything like that, you can have someone in at BYDeFi there. Now, I just read a tweet saying that what was sold yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, Galaxy Digital, what they were selling, was the same as what Luna had to sell back in 2022 when we were seeing a collapse in the crypto market. So yesterday, Galaxy Digital announced that they had a sale of more than 80,000 Bitcoin valued at about $9 billion on current market prices. It was a Satoshi era investor, so someone that probably gone for $80,000 that and sold it for $9 billion. Sounded like they did it all within a day. We don't know how exactly they sold, if they just dumped on the market, if they sold it to OTC desks or what, but this, I said, was a big deal yesterday because it shows how well the market can absorb it. Of course, Bitcoin fell down. It fell from 119,000 to 115,000, so about a $4,000 move. But it's crazy how well the market can absorb this compared to what happened in the past. We had, just a few years ago, a very similar thing happen where Luna actually sold a bunch of Bitcoin. If you remember, they were actually trying to they're trying to back up a stable coin with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was around $40,000 when they announced that they had gotten 80,000 Bitcoin. They had been buying Bitcoin, which was actually forcing the price up of Bitcoin before this. They were one of the biggest buyers of Bitcoin. And then within days, they depegged, their stablecoin depegged, and Bitcoin went from 40,000 to 30,000, then all the way down to 28,000, 29,000. This was kind of the start of the bear market, the official bear market. It got worse, but there were a lot of people that were saying that this kind of started the bear market because there were a lot of hedge funds that were invested. There were a lot of investors that had significant amounts of stable coins or Luna tokens in general. So this forced the price of Bitcoin down over 25% within less than a week. 25%. And they sold 80,000 Bitcoin. This is the same amount that was sold just a few days ago, and we fell 4%. And actually, the number that it forces down was half, 40% of what we saw 3 years ago. Right? We went down $10,000 just a few days ago. We went down $4,000. We're also much higher, right? We're a much higher price now, so the percentages are naturally lower. But it's crazy how far we've come that we could have someone that has 80,000 Bitcoin barely affect the market. And this is not like a huge buying week for the ETFs. It's not like BlackRock just came out and bought $1 billion or $2 billion worth of Bitcoin that day. No, we have seen actually pretty light inflows. This week, we had a total inflow of $72 million, with some of the ETFs actually selling a significant amount, almost 9 figures from ARKB, over 123 million from FBTC, and GBTC selling 80 million. So it's not like this was a fantastic week and the ETFs were just on fire and they absorbed the extra buying. No, like it was a pretty bad week overall for the ETFs. And yet this was still bought up and we're right back to where we were a few days ago. Of course, the ETFs are focused on Ethereum right now. BlackRock bought $440 million worth of Ethereum yesterday, just yesterday. Publicly traded Bit Digital plans to raise $1 billion to buy more Ethereum. There are like 3 or 4 companies now that are buying significant amounts of Ethereum, and Ethereum is a much smaller market cap, so Ethereum's on fire. This is one of the cryptos that I trade. If you don't trade Ethereum, like, it's looking extremely bullish right now. Of course, BlackRock wants to get staking on Ethereum, which I think will be extremely bullish. I've been saying that since they were trying to get staking. I thought it would do really well. This is why it's my second largest position. And yeah, it's been doing crazy well recently. For the week, the Ethereum ETF weekly flow was nearly $2 billion. Like, these are huge numbers. These are like Bitcoin ETF numbers now. It's overtaken the Bitcoin ETFs, obviously, this week because I had 2 billion versus 72 million. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this continues another week, or if we start to see inflows back into Bitcoin as well. And the Ether shorts are getting destroyed. You can see them start to cover. So this is the CME Ether leverage net combined shorts. So they had hit an all-time high. More people are shorting Ethereum than ever before, and now they're starting to have to cover, which, let me move myself so you can actually see. That is extremely bullish for ETH investors because it will cause a squeeze. And this is just like a small cover, what we're seeing now. 15% of what they're short, they've had to cover. So would not be surprised if they actually got long at some point. And that could cause the price of Ethereum to go up significantly before then. So we'll be watching the ETF flows this week. Of course, there are a ton of earnings. Basically, everyone that didn't report earnings last week is reporting earnings this week, of the big companies: Amazon, Apple, I think Microsoft, who else? A handful of other companies. The biggest companies in the world. This is the biggest week for earnings, bigger than last week even. We have GDP Q2 coming out on Wednesday, and then we have the PCE coming out on Thursday. So these will be big drivers of the market as well. The PCE is expected to come in at 0.3%, which the previous was 0.1%. So if it comes in lower than expected, obviously that's going to give the Fed a lot more firepower to go lower rates. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Again, if you do want to trade crypto, check out the link to BYDFi underneath. There are links underneath the video too to BTCC and BitUniX. A lot of people have been liking these exchanges. I think you should use multiple exchanges when you're trading because you never know when volatility comes, if one's going to go down. That happens with Coinbase. It seems like every time there's some kind of pump. So yeah, just be careful. They all have different bonuses right now. We're just setting up a huge XRP giveaway through BYDFi. All you have to do is trade on the platform and you'll get it for free. Just make sure to activate it. Check out the link below. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all soon.